I am a lover of trees. If you know me, I talk to trees, I hug them. I have no shame in that. We can call me a California hippie all you want. You can call me a California hippie. I have no shame. I have such a reverence for trees. And in particular, redwoods have just a stronghold on my heart. And I often say that I need to live wherever redwoods can grow because redwoods only grow in a very specific region in Northern California and Oregon. And they have to be within 50 miles of the ocean because they basically take a lot of their moisture from the marine layer, from the ocean, essentially. Um, I'm going to try really hard not to geek out about all these random facts about redwoods. It's very difficult, but they are ancient. They can live to be over 2,000 years old. And whenever I walk in the redwoods, I like to go to Armstrong National Park. I'm just struck by their presence. Just being with, just standing before them humbles me and makes me feel grounded and safe and makes me feel so, I guess, just so humbled by the fact that these trees have seen so much more life than me. And here they are still standing. And even the ones that have fallen are still contributing to the ecosystem. And I find it so inspiring on this soulful level. And today's episode is really a soulful episode. And I feel so blessed because I get to talk to these incredible people on this podcast from all walks of life. And when I ask them about the growth that takes place at the intersection of work and life, it is 99% of the time something tender. And that's how this episode felt to me. There was a tender-heartedness to it and also an extreme reverence for life and for the presence that we have in each other's lives. So I'm excited for you to listen into this episode and meet someone who I have had a ton of admiration for many years now. And as someone who has done a lot of work in growing cultures of innovation, he is such an inspiration to me. The way his mind works, how creative he is, how he thinks about life. And this conversation deepened my respect for him even more. Jeff Gelfuso has dedicated his career to creating innovative and impactful experiences across software, product, digital, lifestyle, and brand. He's currently the SVP and Chief Design Officer at Qualtrics, the leading experience management company. And previously, he was the Chief Product Experience Officer at Workday, where he led the experience design and development group, shaping user experiences. But before that, Jeff held many leadership roles at places like Meta, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, all guiding multidisciplinary teams in design, product, and engineering. He's also a founding member of the Design Executive Council, where he serves as membership chair for the Seattle Hub, contributing to leadership growth within the design community. Jeff has one of the most brilliant, innovative, creative minds I have ever encountered. And I'm so excited to share this very intimate space with him on this podcast. So without further ado, it's time to grow there with Jeff Gelfuso. Oh, Jeff Gelfuso, it is so great to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you and great to be here.
Oh my gosh, this is such a treat. I was thinking about this morning because obviously you and I have our past life of getting to work together in this really
Yeah.
fun capacity at St. Jude. But I was thinking about one of my favorite moments with you was sitting
Uh-oh.
at dinner with you and your wife and Julie, who's amazing. And we were sharing with you, just we're all ideating about different things that were going on in the business. And you and Julie have this chemistry where you're somehow very present with our group and also having a side conversation where you
Mhm.
like speak your own language and you're like troubleshooting the challenges we're presenting to you at the same time. And I just it's burned in my brain, this dynamic that you two had and the brilliance that you two have together, and having been able to benefit from that always felt like such a huge, I don't know, I just felt so privileged to sit with you two. So it's amazing to sit with you right now and to be able to listen
You're
from you.
you're way too kind, way too kind. Yeah, Julie and I have a very special connection on all kinds of levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do love doing that type of work together. And of course, with you and Meredith and team and everyone, it was
Yeah.
just always it was so rewarding for us. Like I feel
Yeah.
like we got more out of it than we gave to you.
Oh my gosh. Well, could that just can't be true, but also but it was just such a privilege, and I'm just so grateful that you said yes to being on this podcast, because I feel so grateful that I've been able to glean from your wisdom all these years. So, you know why we're here. You know, this podcast is really about the stories of growth that people experience at the intersection of work and life. And so I'd love for you to dive right in and tell me a story about a time when something in your personal life deeply impacted your professional life or vice versa. And tell me the whole story and how you grew from
Yeah.
that.
Well, boy, this was really hard for me. I'd done a few of these, and I had to really pause on this one because I knew if I really shared the story that I wanted to share, it was probably gonna like make me a little emotional. It's like, do I really want to go there? That's gonna be so
Right.
hard. And uh,
Yeah.
but no, it's incredible to think about the kinds of things that you would never expect that happen in your life, different times in your life that impact you. And I think the way that you talk about growth, and how you think about people kind of coming together at the right times in their lives, doing the things that are meaningful to them, seeing how they grow, the paths that they take, all those things, right?
Yeah.
I had a pretty impactful event in my life just a few years ago. My dad passed away suddenly um,
Mm.
in 2022. And he wasn't in the best health, but he was in his early to mid 70s. We didn't expect it. It happened very, very suddenly, and it just rocked us all. And it was a super weird thing where like we didn't actually even know that he passed, and that we couldn't get the info, and so there was a bunch of
Mm.
weirdness too that made it even harder.
Sure.
And when something like that happens and you're trying to like figure it out, and most of my family's all done in Southern California, and Julie and I are up in Seattle with our immediate family. But so then there's the distance, and anyway, like my brother calls me, and I go down, and I kind of come to realization with this thing that happened so
Mm.
suddenly. And it just threw me into a whole different world. And
Mm.
at the time, probably the height of my career at that time so far was leading a giant team of about 1,000 people in a
Mm.
C-suite role, at like trying to change this company and really make an impact.
Yeah.
And so, that, as you know, in itself is a whole thing where you put all of yourself into something like that.
Yeah.
And it was going great, and like great chapter in my life. And at the same time, my kids, who aren't really kids anymore, Julie and I talk about this all the time. Like, uh, they're young adults. They're all launching, which is crazy. We have 4 kids now
Wild.
from the of like, I know, 20 to 25, and they're incredible humans. They're just wonderful people. But at the time, they were kind of ending high school, graduating college. They were right in that very transition kind of state in their lives, right? And deciding what they
Yeah.
wanted to do and where they'd go. So that takes a whole nother kind of effort that you put into it. right?
Yes.
Um, and then this happened with my dad, and it's hard to talk about, but
Yeah.
funny enough, he's not the oldest in his family of siblings, but he's very much like a firstborn. And
Mm.
firstborn, I have one younger brother. He was one of four, but like my dad was like the center of the family, and we have a very big, loud, working class Italian family.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's lots of arms, there's lots of hand waving, a lot of eating, a lot of drinking, all those kinds of things in every gathering.
Yeah.
So, that was always just a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And and then we were really fortunate. My mom and my dad were able to move up to Washington when our kids were young. They spent like almost 12 years with us here, like every day, getting to be a part of the kids' lives. And they had just a special relationship with him. And I did as kind of my dad, but he was known as Papa John to the kids and to all the cousins, and
Mm.
like that just embodies him, right? Like
Yeah.
he he would be there at every baseball game. He would be there at every recital. He'd be the first person to get up and wash the dishes after making a big family Sunday dinner. He like just everything.
Mm. Yeah.
And so he and I didn't realize this until after. He just was the center of our whole family, and in a very um, quiet's not the right word, but in a very just like everyday way.
Yeah.
And so he and my uncle and my cousins and all the big part of my family that's still down in Southern California, they just would be like, oh, of course, Pop John. Oh yeah, of course he's gonna be a hero. Oh, of course, like and so that happened, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, that's a whole new other role for me.
Yeah.
Um, Shoes I obviously could never fill. I mean, my dad was just my rock and my hero and all those things. But now you're as the oldest son, you're like the
Mm.
person who now is the center of the family in a role that you would never think of being in and have no
Yeah.
idea how to operate it. Like we're leading these big company initiatives, like billions of dollars and hundreds of people, and launching and then you're just like, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah,
I that is I want to just pause for a second and first thank you for sharing this. And this is part of the reason I love this podcast is because when we really look at the stories of growth, they often come with these really challenging,
yeah,
traumatic at times, heartbreaking stories in our life where then the growth comes. But I
yeah,
think what you're saying right now is so powerful because
mm,
when your life is leveled and you've already built this whole personal empire. You're doing this C-suite work. You've got the title, you've got all the things, but then the center is removed
yeah,
and
ex-
you feel the calling to step into that space, recognizing there's no job description. There's
yes,
no, like, it
it's
is and you're in the middle of grief doing it.
yeah,
That is an enormous undertaking, an enormous undertaking. And I'm sure
yeah,
there's pressure that you feel. And then there's also grace that you're trying to extend to yourself. There's just so many tensions there. So I I'm curious about the the timing of this, when this was just a few years ago, 2022. When did you start feeling like that? When did that consciousness come into place where it felt like, okay, I actually
yeah,
feel like I have to step into this space?
yeah. I think it was right away.
Yeah.
But then it changed over time. There was kind of the immediate things that, obviously you have to take care of when a family member passes away. And so you're thrown into that mode where you don't know how to do all those things. And obviously, Julie and I were just trying to work through all of it. And so you have all those, like, you kind of can't really grieve, or you can't really spend the time on the things you want, because you're like, oh, there's all this checklist of
Yeah.
kind of stuff
Yeah.
that you do. So that was immediate. And we knew that, my dad, we didn't do kind of a funeral or anything like that. My dad would have wanted like a celebration of life type
Mhm.
of event. And for him, he was a firefighter for 30 years.
Oh
Again,
my God.
yeah. Working class Italian family, right? So like his idea of like a big party is you get everybody at the house in the backyard, and you have like the taco guy come and
Yes.
make a bunch of great talk, like, and that was it. So we're
Yes.
like, of course, that's what we're gonna do, right? So
Yes.
so we had, I don't know, probably 40, 50 family members there, and so you're trying to arrange all the details, like throwing any kind of party, right? Like you're thrown into, like, let's make sure everybody gets fed and
Yeah.
everyone feels okay. And then all these emotions are high, and you've got varying levels of ages and maturity of people in the family that are
Sure.
all dealing with it. And so that was the moment when I've had this kind of, I'm sure you've had this, where you feel like, okay, time is pausing,
Mhm.
and there's all these things around you, and everyone's looking to you, and
Mhm.
everything just goes like, and it shows, and
Yeah.
you're in this little time warp. Just was like, wow, this is it. Like, this is, and it was hard. The part I still struggle with is this notion of, I'm in Seattle, most of my family's in Southern California, and most of what my dad was in this kind of center of the family role was just, again, nothing big and patriarchal, or like any
Mhm.
kind of pomp or circus, like, but just he's the guy that just shows up for a regular dinner on a Saturday, right? Or goes to one of
Yeah.
the cousins, or on the grandkids side over there, one of their events. And so I was like, okay, I'm in this role now that I've, to your point, no JD, no way to figure out on,
Mhm.
and now I have to figure out how to do it from afar, where
Mhm.
I think you started this conversation talking about connection, right? And engagement, and being there, like, that's just who I am. So Julie
Yeah.
is like, we really pride ourselves of like being in the present moment, and really work hard to do that. And so I'm like, wait a second, now there's all these expectations of
Mhm.
being a bit of like the next in line for my dad, but I'm not there day to day. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's like, I don't know how to do this job. I don't know how to do this job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had this kind of epiphany in that moment. And I was like, well, like, kind of back what I was just saying, like, what I can do is I can be here in the moment. And in that moment, of course, no one could speak. One of my uncles said a few words,
Mhm.
and another one, like, tried to crack a couple jokes and make everybody laugh. And then everyone, like, they all turned to me. I'm
Mhm.
like, here we go. Like, and I had to give this kind of speech, I guess, like this talk, and and so I just shared a bunch of things that I knew were meaningful to all of them and to us. And then I kind of left that day, and I thought, okay, and this is where it kind of came back to the both personal and professional parts of my life going forward. It's like, how do I do that? I won't be
Mhm.
there every day. There's some times where I won't be with my kids now, as they're, starting to launch and go do their own separate things. I'm traveling a lot, for like, how do I just take that notion of being there,
Mhm.
making what's meaningful and what's purposeful, and focus on that. And so I try to, and you know how this works when you're back-to-back meetings and back-to-back events and all these and you're constantly context switching all the time. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
and I still come back to that, and I think about, like, I need to be there in this moment. And
Mhm.
there's like, everything else can pause a bit, and right now you and I are talking, and this is the
Mhm.
most important thing that we're doing all day right now. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think I have that still from that moment. And, I don't know if I live up to what, I should be as now the eldest son in that role. But, every time I go back down, I see my mom or I see my family, and we get together, and I just like, hey, I need to just be there like he would be there, just in the moment. And it's not a big, huge production. It's not a, hey, this has got to be the memory that everyone, remember. It's like, nope. You're just making that person or that group of people or you and I feel present, connected, and having that time.
Yeah.
And so I really try to embody that. And sometimes I think it goes better than other times.
Sure.
But it's how I guess I took away from that time, and then try to honor that going forward.
Yeah. I think that's so wise. And it's interesting because I think in some ways you're leaning into a strength that, at least from my experience, that you have always had, but you're doubling down on it. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that any of us can do, is just be there.
Yes.
Just when we're there, to actually be there.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying, that when you were trying to describe your dad, that it wasn't this, big patriarchal presence that was overwhelming, but the fact that it was just that he was there.
That's right.
And that is, I just really, I relate to that, so much. Of I feel like I try to do that same thing. I'm terrible at many things, but if I can just be good at just being with the people I'm with when I'm with them, that feels like a win.
Yeah.
So I think that's an incredible legacy for you to, I think you probably already had that gift, and that it came from your dad, and that you continue to live into that.
Yeah.
And I think, in every aspect of our life, it makes an enormous difference how we show up for our kids, our family, our extended family, our teams, our, direct reports, all of like, just being there is so powerful, in a time when we're all so distracted by so many different things. It's like, I was actually just writing a LinkedIn post about this idea that a lot of times we show up in rooms and in meetings, and people, there's always the people who are talking a lot, there's always the people who have something to say. And then it's always the most powerful thing when someone just asks a really interesting question. That's the moment that's always powerful to me. And I think there's a similar dynamic when you just know that a person has the character traits to just be there and be present and be with you. It speaks volumes more than what you're going to say or what you're going to do, or creating that magical moment. Just really being there when you're there is huge. So,
And you're so right about it. And it just, I don't know. It's weird. I guess in my career and over the years, you learn to be on. You have to be on all the time, on all the time, right? And and for me, that can be like one-on-one moments like this. It can be on a stage presenting to 15,000 people at a big conference. It can be like, but everyone's always looking to you, and it's true even with your family and with your kid. And like, and then in this kind of new space, I was like, how do I be on? I know I have to be on. And I think that also taught me, like, I'm a huge Brene Brown fan, and I like reading her new book right now. I read all her books, and like, it really changed my life in reading the first book of hers that I read, Gain Greatly. And my kids just make fun of me all the time because I don't read a lot of fiction. I read a lot of self-help books.
I'm right there with you. I'm
Yeah.
right there with
You
you.
know, these business books and design books and
Yep.
but I'm always like, underlining and folding the pages and all this.
Same.
Um,
Same.
and for me, that I guess that becomes my reflective time. And it gives me a moment like I'm either getting away, pulling away into myself a little bit and learning, like studying, listening,
Yeah.
and I love that. I love just uh that being kind of a constant sponge in those things. And I think I do more of it now because the opposite of that is that I have to be on it, present and on stage and saying the right things,
Yeah.
being in the right moment all the time. And so I find I'm either like pulling away to do that, or I'm pulling away to be out on the water or outdoors and, surfing or paddleboarding and doing those kind of things. Or maybe I get a few minutes to play guitar. Or the best thing is like, just Julie and I getting like eating dinner together quietly, having
Yeah.
just like, and so I guess now I think about those moments with my dad.
Mm.
Uh, oof, and wish I had more of those quiet moments, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
tough,
Yeah.
but I think it taught me, also in that time, um, and I'm still, I call it practice because I don't think I'll ever be great at it. I just keep working at it.
Yeah.
That I have to find that time for myself. And it's
Yeah.
okay to be on, but not have to be on. Like it's okay to just
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
And not in the big present moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Listen, I'm just so grateful. Thank you for talk about Brene Brown. Thank you for showing up with your vulnerable and courageous heart, because
Mm,
one of the things that it's interesting, but death comes up on this podcast a lot. We talk a lot about it. It is the most life-changing experience to lose someone who you love so dearly, who was holding your universe together.
Yeah.
It's the most disorienting thing to lose that. And I just love how simply you are looking at the way you show up, because going back to the being there, it's interesting. I sometimes wrestle with this because I named my company Grow There.
Yeah.
But I have this interesting thought that I always am ruminating on, which is that there really is no there.
Mm,
There is only here.
mm,
There is only this moment. There's only being here and growing here with the dream and hope of there.
mm.
And when we lose someone, we realize how valuable all those here moments were, And so
Oh, so
I
true.
just,
My gosh.
yeah, right. I mean, that's what you're saying right now is like so we only have, and again, we talk about this so much on the podcast, we only have here. We only have the growth that's happening here, the moments that are happening here. We have to cherish every one of them, and we have to actually be here for it. We have to actually show up for this life that we're living.
100%.
So thank you for being someone who leads very publicly and is willing to take on the tremendous weight and pressure of what that means. I'm saying thank you to you because I have benefited from your wisdom, from your leadership, and I know how much pressure that is. I know that being on feeling, and I can only imagine, you being who you are, how much pressure it's felt to step into this role in your family. It's a lot. And I hope that you're also just giving yourself so much grace, just so much grace. I mean,
Ugh,
I've said this a bunch of times, but like, especially grace through grief, because it's a language that we have to learn to become fluent in. It's not something that goes away, you know?
well,
And I'm curious. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I think it's been a few years now since that moment, and since that time, and so, like I said, I feel like I'm still learning, I'm still growing constantly. But it did help me. I think even I'm kind of processing through some of this. Just even talking to you
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
it did give me this notion that I could be more of my authentic self. It's always something I've tried to lead with. You know, I've been in a lot of different kinds of roles in my life, and I've always thought like, oh, like this company or in this job or in this situation, like I've got to be this kind of, I've got to step into maybe use the best of myself and be that, but step into this other thing. And I
Mm.
think part of that, you're making me realize even just right now, like a part of what that kind of gave me the superpower a little bit to be like,
Yeah.
just be you, just be.
Yes.
And you know what? There's a lot of stuff that's not good about that isn't the, you know, isn't the things that you might look toward and look for. And I'm like, but that's okay, because the
Yeah.
thing I have to offer is uniquely, authentically me. And
Yes.
if that resonates with you, if it resonates with an audience, if it resonates with a company, if it resonates with one person, like that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was my dad had a bunch of isms, kind of that you know we now laugh about and say that you'll remember, or someone will bring up when, and you get a good chuckle out of it. But I'm like, yeah, that was just him. That's
Yeah.
okay. And uh,
Yeah.
or you know, when kids would be like, "Oh, Poppy John," like they would kind of laugh about it, you know. But it's
Yeah.
a good reminder for me that I can be on, and then I can be that kind of leader in my own authentic way. And that's
Yeah.
actually what people want. They don't want me to be another version of somebody else. They want to
Yeah.
be what I can uniquely bring to it.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. It's this beautiful combination of be there and be you,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
You know, like it's as simple as that. And also that's a lifelong undertaking, isn't
It's,
it?
I mean, it's a lifelong practice. And I'll try, and to your point about giving myself grace, like I try to give myself grace, and I'm not grade myself too hard on that, but
Yeah.
there's definitely those moments where I think I have also learned how to kind of pull back and find a little
Yeah.
bit of that time, or that thing that I need to fill me back up again,
Yeah.
and then you know that helps me step into those kinds of roles in the way
Yeah.
that I think that I can when I can. Um,
Yeah. Given this story that you've shared, is there any advice that you would give to business leaders or culture influencers? Is there any advice that you would give that's inspired by your story?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is, and I just came back from some travel over. I was in Krakow, Poland, visiting a team there, and came straight from there to San Francisco actually for a conference. So this is kind of top of mind for me, just in this last week. Everything that's going on in technology, everything that's going on with AI, everybody, especially if you're in the tech world, like I think for many folks that they're things they may have heard or used it very casually, but for us, it's like you're every single day, and everybody's always
Yeah.
talk like you can't almost get away from it. Like everybody's talking about it from a perspective of it's going to change everything, and it is, and it's like rapidly moving so fast, and I believe that's true. But I've always looked at that these major shifts in technology, and unfortunately, I've been in it longer than I care to admit. You know, and I've seen a lot of these shifts, right? Like the move to the cloud,
Yeah.
things like the iPhone App Store, like all these like major shifts. And so there's just this high intensity, like it feels like a land rush, like a race to figure it out.
Mm.
And kind of coming back to my story and this notion, I'm like, this is going to be another one of those major shifts, probably the most major you and I will ever see in our lives, right? But one that I truly believe is a additive thing. It's an empowering thing. It takes who you are and can be and makes it better. Yes, there's some I would call it like rote or things that are very process driven or can be automated. Like some of those things will get replaced by and we'll use AI to do those things. But I actually really truly believe those are the things that we don't want to spend our time on anyway.
Yeah.
What we really want to spend our time on is this notion of being here and being human and adding that. And so I guess thinking about it in talking with you today, it's like, I kind of go back to what I was sharing with the team when I was there and then at this conferences, and everybody was having these, so like, what does this mean for our discipline? Or what does this mean for the state of design or product? And I'm like, it kind of means the same exact thing that it always means. Like, what are we great at? We're great at having strong empathy, keeping people at the center, having a human or user-centered design approach, like thinking both strategically and making and building things. I'm like anybody raise their hand if they think that's different. And it kind of brought us back to that notion of like, no, all those things, all those traits, all those superpowers, all that years of like all the things that you've done, those are all still you. It's all still what you have in your tool belt. Now you have some amazing things, new tools that help you do that better, that supercharge you, that empower you, that maybe some of us were less good at being organized or less good at taking notes or less good at follow-up or less good at maybe like drawing pixel, like all these things can make you better now at what you do. And you said it earlier. I left thinking, and we had this conversation about just how do you stay constantly curious? And it's going to keep changing. It's going to be so fast. It's going to be rapid. And everybody wants to talk like about the technology of it. And I'm like, the technology of it doesn't matter. It's like the curiosity of understanding how to use it and how to take what you're best at and have that amplify what you do. And so I think that would be, if I said, kind of giving myself at the same time as I think about it, but like, how do you use your current superpowers? How do you show up? How do you be present? How do you be there, be on, lead, but in a way, again, that's authentic to you, and knowing that this is a moment where those things don't replace who you are or what you have to offer. If you're curious about them and if you're interested in kind of this continuous learning, I think they can take you leaps and bounds even further.
Yeah. I think that's spot on. And I mean, I've been agreeing with you saying this. I really believe this technology is freeing us up to be more human if we allow it to. And even what you're saying right now is making me think about just the notion of disruption and growth and this idea that all of the major moments of disruption always lead to massive growth. And that's really, this is a huge shift, to your point of the largest in our lifetime. So imagine the rapid growth that comes. And I think the thing we all get to anchor ourselves in is that it's not growth. It doesn't have to be growth for the sake of making everybody money like that. Of course, that's always part of it in this world we live in, but it can be intrinsic, deep human growth and evolution.
That's right.
If we let it be and if we're thoughtful about what that is. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Jeff, I just am so grateful for your story, for your vulnerability, for your sharing and your wisdom. And I'd love to ask you some rapid fire questions if you'd be into it.
Thank you. Of course. Sure. Okay. Let's see how I do.
Let's see how we go. So fill in the blank. Growth is?
A mindset. without a doubt.
mm,
This is kind of what we were just talking about. I think for me, it is continuous learning, curiosity, self-reflection, but you have to have that
Yeah.
mindset.
Love it. What was the first thing you realized you were good at as a child?
Oh, um, probably drawing, art, architecture, maybe that I loved. I love sense of space, and I was really good at drawing early on. Now I think about it, maybe that's what led me to where I am today.
I mean, yeah, I think that makes sense. I love that. What was your very first job?
Oh, boy, this make you laugh. My first paying job, outside of doing something for someone in the family or things like that, was I worked for the Red Cross, cold,
Yes.
yeah, cold calling people to give blood. Uh,
Oh my God. That is amazing. That is incredible. They're a client of mine.
oh,
So thank you for your service.
oh my gosh, I was horrible at it. Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, but
That is so funny.
it taught me, now that I think back, that it was a really valuable learning lesson of, um, you know, try, trying it with, if anybody's ever been in a sales role or retail or restaurant or whatever, like this, like telesale, like this the hardest thing ever.
So hard.
So,
So hard. Much less trying to get people to give blood during that time when you were doing it. Probably it
oh
was
yeah.
not an easy thing to do.
Like literally you'd pick up the phone, you'd have a sheet every day and you would just work down the list of it and you'd be like, check. Oh, got one. Nope. Nope. Don't ever call me again. Nope. Nope. Like,
Oh God, what I wouldn't give to see you doing that
oh,
as
that
a
was
youngster.
bad. I would be embarrassed if there was ever any time that like could surface it. So thank goodness there was like no video and no
Exactly.
call recording.
Exactly. There's no evidence. Um, who was the best boss you ever had?
Oh, gosh, I've been fortunate to have a few. More recently, a guy named Pete Schlamp, that I worked really closely with, bonus back at Workday. Just more than a boss, just a great leader. He just a
Mm,
genuine, really authentic, good 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 guy. Taught me a lot. And I had, when you have that kind of feeling, especially when you're kind of more senior and you're not. You kind of work for a lot of people. You report to one
yeah.
person, you're working for multiple. Like he just had a great sense about him and kind of coming alongside you. So
Mm,
being there to support and doing a bit of guidance, but it was kind of like, hey man, we're in this together. Um,
mm.
yeah,
Love that.
he was great. Still is. Still really close with him.
Love that. What's something you're trying to learn right now?
I'm always, as you can tell, I can be a little long-winded. I can certainly fill the room if I need to. I'm constantly practicing and trying to learn about listening more, talking less,
Mm,
listening more. It's certainly a lifelong practice. But I find that, and you were talking about this earlier, some of the best ways that I learn or that I lead is by listening and
mm.
asking questions. There's a great book by Warren Berger that's a little older now called "A More Beautiful Question." Taught me so much.
Yeah.
It's just like just the art of asking great questions. I will always
Yeah.
just be a student of.
Yeah. It's such an incredible craft. I do this podcast and I always think, man, I really have some skill development in the question asking arena.
You're doing pretty great at it.
Um, Thank you. Well, tell me something that you're trying to unlearn.
Hmm. Maybe got this sense a little bit. From my story, I have a deep sense of responsibility.
Mm.
Um, Too much so at times. And
Mhm.
especially things, and it's not in a trying to control or trying to, to own or drive, but I feel a deep and broad sense of responsibility for people in my life. sometimes too much. And sometimes I need to know that that'll doesn't fall on my shoulders. I'm really not good at that. And I have to unlearn it over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Tell me a book or movie that changed your life.
No, this is what we were saying earlier. Yeah, without a doubt. Like Daring Greatly, Brene Brown. Like I'm reading her
Yes.
latest right now, Strong Ground, which is great.
I know. I need to read
Oh,
it.
so
I'm
great.
so ready to read it.
You start off by she's doing a 6-part series with Adam Grant podcast
Love him.
on oh my gosh, I listened to the first couple episodes. Awesome, amazing.
Can't wait to dive in. She's one of a kind.
Yeah.
She's so good. I'm, of course, like you, reading always all the self-help and business books, and I have like 5 of them. Yeah, exactly. So much help. Let's see. When growth feels good, how do you celebrate?
Taking pause, and probably trying to remember to practice gratitudes. We actually Julie started it and in our family a long time ago. When your kids are kind of middle school age, that they come home, and we really prided ourselves on having dinner together every night, despite practices and recitals and all the things that are going on. And you get to the point with, how was your day? Good. What's going on? Nothing. How you feel? Fine. Right. So she came up with the idea of doing 3 highlights and 3 gratitudes. And it's stuck with us ever since. And so now it's a big thing that we do if we have friends over, if we're together as family, like we always are trying to at least share one gratitude and be very specific about it and take pause. And so I think when I feel like, I'm growing or I'm learning or things are going in that direction, and even if it's sometimes, hard things, it's always good to step back and practice some gratitude.
Yeah, I love that. When growth feels hard, how do you take care of yourself?
Well, maybe similarly, I usually have to take a pause and take a little bit of time for myself. I've gotten much better at it. Like I said earlier, I love being outdoors. I love being in the water. Kind of, it's a bit of my energy. And Julie tells me that, like go fill your gills, which means like, go get out, take a swim, take a paddle, and so I think if I feel all that weight, or maybe I feel like, 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, 3 steps back, it means go get in the water for me. And I just have this energy and this grounding. And you started off saying like, I think you're much better at meditation. I'm not good at it. I can't really do it well. For me, I think the repetition of an activity, and something like paddling or surfing, or just there's one, you're out there with nature and forces that are bigger than you, and you have to humble yourself and be respectful of, but there's just like this rhythm, this like motion to it. And so when things feel hard or I need that, I think I seek that out, and that's a little bit of my recentering.
Yeah, I love that. What would your 8-year-old self say about the life you're living now?
My 8-year-old self, gosh, my 8-year-old self would probably be like, dude, you're old. What are you doing? You're too old for that. Like, what are you? Yeah, probably would. I wish you'd be like, hey, great job. You're doing really good. But I think my 8-year-old self would be like, dude, you're way too old for that.
Oh my God. That's so great. Leave it to our 8-year-old selves to humble us. Well, my last question, and it feels very poignant considering our conversation today, but when you grow all the way up and you leave this life, what is it that you hope to congratulate yourself on?
Kind of, nothing. It wouldn't be anything big or glamorous, or just kind of coming back to my story. It just would be that, I was always there for my wife, for my family, supporting them, caring for them, loving them. I talk a lot about, and I don't know what it looks like when I'm kind of done. I don't know if I'll know how to do that, but I think the most proud, or the thing that I would feel the most proud about, is that if my family just knew I was always here for them.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, I know that you will fulfill that because you already are. And it's such a privilege to share space with you. I feel like I have I'm also the oldest sibling. My dad is a retired fire chief. So I think I knew that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, where did he serve? Where?
Southern California, Monrovia Fire
Oh
Department.
my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
My dad was in Doherty, like literally right there.
What?
Yes.
What? I grew up, I lived in Doherty when I was a kid, and obviously Monrovia is right there.
How did we not have
That's
this whole
wild.
station before? Yeah, Station 44. Like
Wow.
Okay, that's weird. I have to.
Wow. Well, we're gonna have to offline this part of the conversation.
You'll have,
but no doubt our dads knew each other for sure. No doubt.
Especially in LA County like that, for sure. Like there's gotta be.
Of course. No doubt.
If you said Gelfuso, I'm sure he'd probably
100%.
Everyone at the fire station called him Luigi. So like,
oh my gosh,
that's the big Italian joke, right?
Listen, I can't wait to call my dad up today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, Jeff, that was a special little bonus for all those listening. Thank you so much for being here. You're the best. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you for having me. Take care.